Hello everyone, welcome to the SI UK India webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are now live with University of Bath. Today we have Patrick with us. He will be taking us through this webinar. We'll try to answer all the questions after the presentation during the Q&A session. So let's start the webinar. Over to you, Patrick.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Yukti, and thank you all for coming along and being here today. It's really great to be here. If you could just bear with me a second, I will get my presentation. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, my name is Patrick. I'm Deputy Head of Student Recruitment for international students at the University of Bath. This is a sort of quite an interactive webinar session. So I am going to talk to you initially about the university and specifically about employability and careers opportunities at the University of Bath. But I also want to leave lots of time for questions and to be able to answer your questions and give you as much information and support as I can. So I'll probably talk for about 20-25 minutes, maybe half an hour at the most. And I'd then like to, take the opportunity to take some of your questions. So do post those in the YouTube channel if you intend to do so, or you can ask me those questions when I've finished with my presentation as well. So yeah, as I say, I am Patrick. I'm Deputy Head of International Student Recruitment at the University of Bath, and I'm also the kind of contact point for students from India at Bath. So I look after the questions and concerns and applications of Indian students. We also have a team based in India, managed by Namita Pandey, who can provide excellent support and advice for Indian students as well. So I will give you, obviously, my contact details at the end of this presentation, but I'll also pass on the contact details of our India team who are in country and who are really happy to help with any questions you may have. So today's webinar is about employability. And I know that it's something that is extremely important to students from India. So
Sorry to interrupt, Patrick. Sorry to interrupt, but your presentation is not visible. If you
Oh, I'm
have already
sorry.
shared.
Okay, let me share my screen again. My apologies. Okay,
Yes, now your screen is visible.
fantastic. Thank you, Yukti, and apologies for that. So yeah, this is so these are my details, and as I say, I'll share my contact details at the end. So here's what I hope to just for the next 20-25 minutes to talk to you about. So firstly, just a little bit about the university itself, the type of university we are and our location. As you can see from the image here, the university is located in a magnificent city. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the UK. But it's not just about that kind of natural beauty and architectural beauty. One of the things we are most proud of at Bath is the way that we enhance your employability and the way that we support our students in developing those links, those professional links, those industrial links, and those real world work experiences to help them make sure they get the best possible jobs in the most relevant industries when they finish up their studies with us. So I'm going to focus mainly on that throughout this presentation, and then talk about something that I'm asked about quite a bit when I visit India, which is the recruitment process for recent graduates in the UK. And there's no kind of one size fits all on this. It can differ depending on industry, depending on company, depending on individual job applicants as well, actually. But there are some differences between the way the job market works. And so there in the UK and in India. And so, whether you're hoping to, stay on and work under the post-study work, the graduate route visa to apply for jobs in the UK, or whether you're planning to go back to India, it's useful to know how the kind of framework is slightly different for applying for jobs, and therefore the way that we prepare you for the job market. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have plenty of time for some questions and answers, and I can hopefully shed a bit more light on some of the questions you may have. So firstly, just to set the scene about Bath and about the University of Bath. So we're located in the city of Bath, which is in the kind of southwest of England. We're about 80 minutes from London by train, a little bit more by bus, but not a huge amount more. And there's a direct train as well from London Paddington. And the nearest kind of major city to Bath is Bristol, which is about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit less than 15 minutes away by train. So we're pretty well connected, and Bath is it's not in a kind of hugely urban area. It's actually in a rather beautiful green and pleasant landscape, but it is very well connected to major cities. So, as I say, Bristol's very close. London is less than an hour and a half away, and Bristol has a Bath doesn't have an airport, but Bristol has a pretty well connected international airport, and we're about 2 hours away from the London airports, particularly Heathrow. So quite well connected. One of the things we're proudest of is I think we're the UK's only UNESCO World Heritage City, possibly Europe's, I think, in the sense that the entire city of Bath has been recognized by UNESCO and essentially accredited as a World Heritage Site in its own right. It really is a magnificent place. I'm quite new to the University of Bath. I've only been working at the university for about 5 months or so, and I am just stunned by the surroundings that I find myself in when I visit the city and visit the campus. It really does have to be seen to be believed. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. This is an aerial shot of our campus. So we're very big on sport at Bath. You don't have to be a great sports person to study at Bath. But if you are, we welcome you with open arms. Even if you like to play sport recreationally or at amateur level, that's absolutely fine as well. You don't have to like sport at all, but we are very well equipped for sporting activity. And we're a campus university, so we're not civic in the sense that we're not based within a town or a city centre. We are located on one sort of piece of land, or mostly one piece of land, which is just about 10 minutes outside the main city of Bath itself. So you can there's regular buses, and you take a bus from the historic centre of Bath up to the campus. So it's pretty easy to get on and off campus, but you get the kind of best of both worlds with Bath. So you will be in the city a lot, and you'll be amongst all that beautiful natural architecture. But actually, you'll also have that kind of campus experience on a bespoke campus purely for students, just on the outskirts of the city. So the campus kind of overlooks the city. It's up on a hill, surrounded by beautiful natural greenery as well. One of the things about the University of Bath is our campus is relatively small. It's a fair size, but it's relatively small, and we're not even allowed to expand it, even if we wanted to, because of the natural beauty that surrounds us. So, you do get that sense of being in a calm and clean and green place, but you're just on the edge of a really exciting city as well. So, who are we at Bath? Well, normally it depends on the year, but normally about 25 to 30% of our students come from outside the UK, usually at undergraduate level. We're quite an undergraduate focused university in terms of our intake, but actually increasing numbers of master's students as well, coming to study a range of programs, and I'll touch on that in a while. But yeah, about 17% of our student body are studying master's programs, and about 10% studying PhD or other research programs, usually from everywhere. We do have a significant number from India, but we also have students from China, from the US, from Southeast Asia, from West Africa, from the Middle East, from South America as well. So, and Europe, of course. So we represent a broad spread of nationalities from across the world. And we're very proud of our academic quality and particularly our rankings. So three that I pick up here. So in the top left, we're actually a triple top 10 university. So in the Complete University Guide, in the Guardian, and in the Sunday Times, or the Times and Sunday Times rankings in the UK, we come out as top 10. This is in the most recent ones, the 2024 rankings. So we're extremely proud of that. There aren't that many UK universities who can say that they are triple top 10 in those rankings, and we very proudly are. We're also in the top 150 globally in the most recent QS rankings. And perhaps most relevant to today's presentation is that we're top 100 in the world for graduate employability, according to the QS World's university rankings. So we're very, very well known for the achievements of our alumni and our graduates, and we're very well known for that giving them that preparation to go on to the world of work and to employability. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment, but just wanted to pick up on this question of why Bath. So yes, as you would expect of a university with students from 130 different countries, we have very good international connections, including within India. But also we help you develop, perhaps more than so many other universities, we help you develop those specific employment skills. And we offer, as part of our programs, a great deal of real world experience, which ensures that you're work ready. If you take those opportunities and if you develop yourself in the way that we will support you to do, you should emerge from these programs ready for the world of work. And that's something we really do emphasize. So the student Harsh here, from his first day in Bath, his student experience officer and placements officer were his pillars of support. And they, as he says, they have always been there for me. And I think that's really, really important. A very high proportion of our students go on a work placement or study abroad as part of their program, 68% in fact. We embed placement support in the wider university through dedicated placement teams within your faculty or your school that you're studying at. And our employer connections are unrivaled, really. Here, Microsoft, L'Oreal, Disney, the UN, Cancer Research UK, but there are so many others. And actually, this goes beyond perhaps just the kind of blue chip. I mean, these are important connections, these blue chip kind of corporate connections, but also with public bodies, with government, with media, with the third sector, the charity sector. We have absolutely unparalleled links with organizations, with employers in a really wide range of industries. It's something we're very, very proud of. Okay. The fact that we're very, very proud of it stems from our charter. And we're a relatively young university in UK terms. We were founded in 1966. But we're pretty unusual in that within our university charter, so within our kind of guiding vision from the very first point that we started as a university, we said the objects of this university shall be to advance learning and knowledge by teaching and research in close association with industry and commerce. And that is key. We are very much about those industry links, those commercial links, and about making sure that our students go on to have fantastic careers. And that will never change. That's a core part of who we are as a university. Excuse me. And it's something we seek to emphasize in everything we do. I would also note that we're very well known for our research, and we score very highly in the UK Research Excellence Framework, for example. But we don't necessarily consider ourselves just a research-intensive university. Pretty unusually for a university that's highly ranked for its research, we also have the top accolades for our teaching as well. So, we've achieved the highest possible scores in the UK Government Teaching Excellence Framework in the past, for example. So we call ourselves a dual intensive, as in DUAL, dual, or sort of joint intensive. Our research activity is intensive, but so is our teaching activity, and they're both of the very, very highest quality. So just briefly, I touched on our home. I won't talk too much about this now because I want to focus on employability. But as I mentioned, the UK's only UNESCO World Heritage City, absolutely magnificent place to study. This is the Royal Crescent right in the centre of Bath, magnificent architecture. Those who've seen Bridgerton will perhaps recognise some of these buildings and some of the architecture around. Times Higher Education ranked us as the second safest university city in England and Wales last year. We have these beautiful kind of sandstone buildings throughout the centre of Bath, historic bridges, a great deal of fascinating local history. And our students are at the very heart of all of that. We're very much a student-focused city as well. So during your studies, should you choose to come and study with us at Bath, and I hope that you do, during your studies, how will we help enhance that employability? Well, firstly, these are our faculties and our school. So the university itself is made up of three faculties and one school. And the faculties deal with academic areas, which I'm sure many of you will be interested in, such as engineering and design, humanities and social sciences, and science more broadly. So things like the life sciences, computer science, pharmacy, pharmacology, etc. And we also have one of the UK's top ranked schools of management, where we have the programs like business management, but also things like finance, accounting, the more kind of specialized management programs as well as a really industry leading MBA program. So this is our School of Management in particular, and I'm going to talk about some of the careers and employability support that school offers. But just briefly, the school itself, it's ranked in the QS Top 100. It's ranked in the top 5 business and management schools. In the most recent Good University Guide, it was ranked first for marketing. And the REF, which is the Research Excellence Framework that I mentioned earlier, has ranked this school as 7th in the UK for the quality of its research in the area of management. So students who come to study at our School of Management are getting the best possible, the highest level of academic support and the highest level of academic training, alongside these employability advantages. So, for example, the school has an employability hub, which can assist students with quite specific, and this is above and beyond what's offered by the university's own careers and support services. Provide that training and support on employability options and on careers advice and guidance. There's an enterprise zone which again is used for students to develop some of their own ideas. Entrepreneurship is a big focus. And we very much encourage our students not just to follow set kind of business frameworks, but to be enterprising, to be entrepreneurial, and to to develop their own ideas and their own opportunities when it comes to business and management. Our behavioral research lab, which brings in the kind of research aspect and ensures that there is that connection between the real world and the world of academia. Because as much as I talk about real world connections and industry links, academia, the academic side is hugely important as well, and theory is very significant. And it is something that our School of Management in particular likes to focus on and to bridge with the real world support. The building itself is brand new. It was just opened a couple of years ago, so its facilities are leading edge, and the cafe and study space, I was there recently, is wonderful. It's a great collaborative social space for students. There's all kinds of breakout rooms where you can work in small groups, where you'll have seminars and you can develop your ideas and your proposals. So it's a brilliant space. And when it comes to employability and careers, these programs within the School of Management offer at least one summer option. And so the programs are the MSc Management, the MSc Marketing, the MSc Human Resource Management, the whole suite of MSc Finance programs, and the MSc Strategic Retailing program. And all of these programs will offer a kind of summer placement or summer internship. So, for example, the practice track, which allows you to work in teams on 2 projects, a business project and a charity project, with a whole range of external client organizations. So I was over at the School of Management a few weeks ago, actually, when the employers for the practice track came onto campus. So they had one of their touch points with the students was the sort of interview sessions for the practice track. So the students were suited and booted, the employers employers from across a wide range of industries and companies. There was a real buzz about the place, and the students will, from that point, will, they will undertake those interviews, and over time will locate the employer that they're going to be working with on the practice track and start to develop those proposals for the summer. I mentioned entrepreneurship, and again, on these programs, there are opportunities for things like the entrepreneurial project, which involves launching a venture, which could be independent, it could be a corporate type venture, or indeed a sort of social enterprise or family business. So again, we whilst we encourage students to work independently, we provide the support and the guidance needed to develop that project. And I mentioned internships as well. So these summer programs can involve an internship, which could be paid or non-paid. And again, we have the appropriate offices and the staff that can help students to locate that internship and to really sort of develop their skills through that route. Um, Talked about management a little bit, so moving on to science. So, should you be studying in our Faculty of Science, you would have the opportunity to engage with industry through a one-year placement. And this is offered on pretty much all of the master's programs in the Faculty of Science. A little bit of a difference for the MSc Computer Science, but programs such as MSc Data Science, MSc Machine Learning, and Autonomous Systems, and all of the other MSc programs within that faculty will offer this opportunity. And should you be an undergraduate student, you will have that opportunity of a one-year placement. Now, actually, this isn't just within the Faculty of Science. This applies pretty much across the whole university at undergraduate level. What you can do is, as you all know, bachelor's degrees in the UK are usually 3 years in length. However, you could take the program on a 4-year basis and have a placement year, which will be, excuse me, which will take place between the penultimate and the final year. So in between, in effect, year 2 and year 3. You don't have to do that, but many of our programs, in fact, pretty much all of our programs offer that opportunity, and it's a fantastic opportunity. We find that students who do take that opportunity very often go on to, they emerge from their degree programs ready for the world of work and with a contacts list, and a great set of contacts as well. So, recent employers who have provided these placements include Google, Microsoft, Accenture, and again, I mentioned some of the away from that kind of corporate world, some of the public sector or voluntary sector organizations that also provide those opportunities for our students. So moving to our Faculty of Engineering, this faculty offers the ability to build relationships within the engineering industry, whichever kind of discipline of engineering you're studying, through a master's level placement, which would run from 3 to 6 months. Apologies, I just need to open that page again. So this could take a number of formats. We talk about here, for example, the consultancy project, which involves taking an industry-sponsored consultancy group project instead of a dissertation on some of our master's courses. Now, of course, some students prefer the academic approach and prefer to take a dissertation, but we know that many, many students, including many of our students from India, prefer that option of getting that kind of industry-sponsored, more practical, more hands-on project. And so we offer that on some of our master's programs. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, all of the bachelor's degrees have that one-year paid placement option. And I didn't touch on the paid elements. These placement years are paid. I'm relatively new to Bath, so I'm still learning the way that works. But my understanding is that there would be a slightly reduced tuition fee, and that you would be paid for your work on placement. I do need to double check how that all works. So if you need to know the full details on that, I can look into that and let you know after this session. But we have over 200 industry partners. An example here, the MSc Automotive Engineering. We offer this program with electric propulsion systems. We also offer the option to combine this with business management. We also offer an MSc Automotive Technology, and we also offer MSc Automotive Technology with business management. So these are the kind of varying ways we approach this program. And as you can see from the write-ups here, the focus is always on careers. So, we are looking at, for the first of these, those with an interest in powertrain technologies and that kind of part of the industry. We then have, with business management, we're looking at those who want to take that management approach to their engineering career. The automotive technology program is for those who are attracted to the automotive industry and emerging technologies in that space. And then, of course, the MSc Automotive Technology with Business Management. Again, it's a good option for those who want to use those kind of science-based skills to sort of pivot to management or business type approach. So combining those two sorts of areas. And as you can see from just in the top right there, recent graduates from these programs have been recruited by the likes of Renault, Ford, and no doubt, a broad range of big names in the automotive industry. So here's just an example. RJ, who took the MSc Automotive Engineering with Electric Propulsion a few years back, he now, or certainly at the time of preparing these slides, he worked at Innovate in the UK. Innovate UK supports innovative UK businesses to realise the potential of new technologies. And RJ's work involves supporting projects which are original, sustainable, but also working on the research side, pulling towards the net zero carbon agenda of the UK government, which is one of the big strategic objectives of the UK government. You may be aware we have an election here in the UK today. It's highly likely that whatever the outcome of that election is, that the next government will also have this commitment to net zero as part of its overall strategy. So, this work that RJ is doing is very, very focused on an area that's extremely important to the UK. And here we have just a list of some of the companies that have recruited from these engineering programs. Okay, so I touched briefly, and I think I've got about 5 minutes left. I touched briefly on some of the earlier on some of the actual areas of support that we can provide and that we do provide at the University of Bath. Here we just sort of want to highlight a little bit more. So things like company presentations, companies coming onto campus and presenting to you or meeting you directly at careers fairs. Specific industry insight events where you can gain intelligence and information on particular industries. Of course, online resources, workshops as part of your program, but also as part of the recruitment process for companies. Practice interviews, assessment centres, helping you develop those soft skills that can be needed to project yourself appropriately in the world of work. And alumni events and continued support. That's something that's very, very important to us at Bath. So, when you leave the university or when you graduate and go on to hopefully a very successful career, that doesn't end your relationship with us. We continue to provide support for alumni and events. And I know in India in particular, there's a lot of work ongoing to create a University of Bath alumni chapter. So it's an exciting time at the moment, particularly for our Indian alumni. And I think just sort of on this, some of the things that we see ourselves as helping you with is to define and to achieve your goals when it comes to employability. So, we can help enhance your employability through volunteering, clubs and societies with our Students' Union, through helping you get involved with entrepreneurial activities and building those networks. If should you wish to start your own business, your visa would allow you to work part-time. And so, we have a job shop and the opportunity for students to earn that little bit of extra money and gain experience at the same time. Get an internship or placement. As I mentioned earlier, this is integrated into many of our programs, and of course get that graduate job at the end, so that access to the university careers team, the faculty and school teams, and the fairs and workshops that I mentioned earlier. So some of our master's programs offer the following, and again, I touched on a few of these already, but placements, practicums, practice tracks, company visits, guest lectures. If you want to take that dissertation route, so less the practical hands-on route and more the academic route, you can still do that on a company-sponsored basis. So perhaps a dissertation based on a real-life business or management scenario that has been provided by a real-world company and probably reflects a real-world scenario or issue that they have faced. And extracurricular opportunities as well. So I won't go into the details of challenges and set squared, but we have these types of programs that allow you in your free time to take those opportunities to round out your CV, your resume, and get really quite important personal experience that can really enhance your applications when you are applying for jobs. So just very briefly, because I only have about 2 or 3 minutes now, but I did want to highlight a slight difference between the way UK companies recruit and companies in some other countries, probably including India. So I won't kind of go all the way through this timeline, but a lot of the time, large recruiters they'll have a very set process, and it will often involve an online application at the start. Now, if it's an employer that's working closely with us, you may find that there's a stage before this, which involves meeting them at a careers fair or at a workshop. But the kind of formal process itself probably begins at around the point of this online application. And then you may need to take judgment tests or numeric or verbal tests. You may need a video interview or to go through assessment centers as well. And of course, some recruiters might do this differently. They may need a CV or a resume or a cover letter or a face-to-face interview. Now, we can help you, with preparing for all of these stages of the process. I think, there is a difference between perhaps the way graduate recruitment works in India, which might be through placement in the sense of, a recommendation about a particular group of students or coming onto campus and placing a particular number of students. Whereas in the UK, it can be a little bit more individualistic and more likely to be a competitive recruitment process where you are applying for jobs as an individual and you're not being placed, you're actively seeking, actively promoting yourself as somebody who would like a specific role. It can vary. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's important to just bear that in mind. So yes, the professional skill set you need might be similar in both countries, but the process is a little different. And one of the things we do is help you understand that and help you adapt your approach to ensure that, if you are applying for jobs in the UK, that you are going about that the right way. So I'm not going to talk about this too much because we've already touched on placements, but as I mentioned, some courses have integrated compulsory or optional placement options. We provide support in obtaining those placements, and we do advise, get involved right from the start of your program. The more you engage with this, the more likely it is you get those top quality placements in areas or with companies that you're really, really interested in. Okay, so a few final thoughts just to summarize what I've said today, and then I'll take some questions. So, as I've mentioned, placements, graduate employability, they're an absolutely defining feature of the University of Bath. There are so many activities available. You can get involved in a whole range of ways. You can develop your skills and have an amazing time as you do so. We're engaged actively with corporates, with small to medium enterprises, with startups, with charities. It's not just the big kind of the big corporate companies. We're engaged across the range of business entities, and we have support. When we say at faculty level, we mean within those departments. So science, engineering, design, humanities, social sciences, but also from our overall university's careers team. And of course, our School of Management has a very expansive network of career support as well. So support across the piece, really, and throughout the university to help you with applying and securing the job that is right for you. I'm going to finish up now. I've put my email address here. Do drop me an email if you have any questions or you need any information. I'll also later on share the contact details for our India team. Or of course, you can speak with SIUK as well, who have organized this event and who represent us in India. So, do speak to the team there. I'll bring this to a close, but I'm really, really happy now to take any questions at all. I mentioned that I'm new to Bath, so if there are any questions I can't yet answer, I'll make sure I do get answers for those and feed them back through SIUK. And thank you all again for your time today.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for giving us this insightful presentation. Now time for Q&A session. I will help you call out the question from the YouTube chat box. So first question is, what will be the tuition fees for a year?
Okay, so if you just bear with me a moment, it depends on the program that you're looking to study. So, and this will be the case at most UK universities. So, for example, in a science type program that might require more material, more sort of, I guess, what's the word? More expendable, equipment and material, the fee can be a little bit higher. But for a humanities and social sciences type program, it can be a little bit lower. So, as an example, for let's say a master's program in engineering, at the moment our tuition fee is in the region of 31,500 pounds. But then in something like, let me see, I'm just looking at an example here. I had a program in conservation of historic buildings. It's more like sort of £28,000. And I think for something like, let me just find another one, the automotive programs that I mentioned earlier, again, it's around that £32,000 mark. That's for 1 year of study. It can be paid in installments throughout the year as well, so it doesn't have to be made in one payment. And we do have a range. I'm sure this question will come up, so I won't talk about it now. But we do have a range of scholarships for Indian students and for international students more broadly as well.
So next question is accommodation guaranteed? How much do students typically pay in rent?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yes, accommodation is guaranteed as long as you apply through the normal process. We would guarantee accommodation in one of our university residences. If you're an undergraduate student, what students tend to do is stay on campus in on-campus accommodation in the first year of study, and they usually move either out of university accommodation in the second year, or move into the city of Bath, or they might stay in university accommodation but move off campus into the city of Bath. The costs of accommodation can vary fairly significantly depending on which residences you choose. So I'm just looking on, I'm going to pick an example. So we have Canal Wharf accommodation. So I'm just clicking on that now. I want to give a kind of general overview. So yeah, rooms in Canal Wharf, which is one of our well-known accommodation blocks, tend to cost between £167 to £278 per week. So there's a fair sort of variance there. And this particular residence hall has couples accommodation or family accommodation as well. Now, if we were to look at somewhere like Oldham, which is one of our newer accommodation blocks and has, I stayed there recently for a conference on campus. That comes out a little bit more. It's about £271. But then somewhere like Pulteney Court, around £167 per week. So it varies depending on which type of accommodation you find. But the best thing to do is, when you do apply, we send you information on the accommodation application process, and you can compare and contrast the different options and pick what's best for you.
Okay, so the next question is, do you have biomedical, bioscience, molecules, aerospace courses?
We do, yeah. So we have within our Faculty of Sciences, which I mentioned earlier, we have a range of programs in those areas. I will just give you the full list. So assuming you're looking at master's level, we have an MSc in molecular biosciences. We also have undergraduate level, we have things like BSc in biochemistry, we have a BSc in biology, and we have a BSc in biomedical sciences. Now, all of these offer the opportunities for a placement as well. So they have that integrated placement year. And at the master's level, I mentioned molecular biosciences. So we have a molecular biosciences MSc with a focus on bioinformatics as well. So you could take the more general molecular biosciences MSc, or you could focus in on bioinformatics. We also have a microbiology approach to that same MSc program, so a specialism on particularly on microbiology. And again, these programs have the placement option.
You.
Study it over 2 years. Okay, I think my connection dropped out a little bit there, but hopefully I'm back now.
Yes, yes, your voice is audible. So the next question is, how many intakes are there?
There's one intake every year, which is in September. Usually the sort of fourth week of September, maybe the third week of, well, you'd be arriving around the third week of September. We don't really have a January intake at Bath. It's mainly just September.
Okay. So the next question is, what type of courses do you have in Bath University?
It's a good question, actually. We're a pretty comprehensive university, but we're not a huge university in the way that, let's say, Manchester or Glasgow or Birmingham is. We're a little bit more specialised. Um, we're very, very strong on STEM, science, technology, engineering, medicine, etc. We don't have medicine, but we have things like, health sciences and biosciences. Really, really strong on science and tech. We're very highly ranked as well in psychology. Most rankings put us in the top 1 or 2 in the UK for psychology. Similarly, architecture, again, top 2 or 3 ranked school in most rankings tables. We also have obviously I mentioned our management school, which has those kind of general management programs, the MBA, the various specialist MSc programs. Um, but we have those kind of social sciences that maybe overlap a little bit with management as well. So things like economics. We're very strong on social sciences more broadly as well. And finally, I guess the other sort of main area would be things like engineering. I mentioned some of the engineering disciplines that we offer, so engineering and design, and that sort of side of the sciences as well. What we don't have medicine. We don't have a law school either. We have programs that kind of touch on those areas, but we don't have medicine or law. Um, we tend to have our most popular programs tend to be the STEM type programs, management, and things like psychology and architecture as well. I'm wondering if can you hear me?
Yes, what is the
Oh, great.
application process for the scholarships?
Okay, so we have a few different types of scholarships. And obviously this will be refreshed for next year, so they may work slightly differently next year. But at the moment, we have 2 different application processes for the scholarships that are available for Indian students. So the great news about one of the scholarships, the Bath Merit Award, is that doesn't really require an application at all. We provide that award to students who have achieved what looks to be a good first class degree, or who are going to achieve what looks to be a good first class degree from their degree in India. So this is for master's students. And the way that it works is when you apply for a master's at Bath, we would look at your transcripts up to this point. We would make you the offer, as long as your grades were good enough and your application was good enough, we would make you the offer for the program. But as long as you are averaging, and we don't have the set amount, as long as you're averaging really well and a good first class degree, then we would award you the scholarship there and then. So all that you have to do is meet the criteria for your offer. You don't have to worry about your final grade at that point in order to get the scholarship. Now, you have to have good grades in your degree so far. We don't just award that scholarship to everybody. But as long as you've got those good grades, then you would be awarded that scholarship at the time you get your conditional offer. And then all you have to do is meet the conditions of your offer, no application required, and you can get that scholarship as a reduction on your tuition fee. Now, there are other scholarships available with a slightly different application route. So, for example, our management school has its own scholarships for high achieving international students. We also have very specific scholarships for our other faculties as well. Now, they require usually an application. So you apply for the academic program, and you then apply online through an online portal for the scholarship. They're not full scholarships. There are a range of different scholarships that involve reduction in tuition fees as well. But you always have a good chance of winning one of those scholarships if you make a good overall application. One of the great things about Bath, which I know lots of other universities don't do, is that we allow students to combine different scholarship awards. So, for example, if you won the Bath Merit Award that I mentioned earlier, which is the one where you don't have to make an application, and you also won one of the scholarships that you had applied for directly, you can combine those two awards. So you have the opportunity to get quite significant amounts of scholarship funding through combining the different approaches.
Um, are there opportunities for internships or work placement during the course?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think hopefully within the presentation, I was able to shed a bit of light on that. But again, if you're studying at undergraduate level, we have internships or placement opportunities for all of our programs, 100% of our programs. You don't always have to take them. We do have some 4-year programs that do require you to do that 1-year placement. But for lots of the others, they are optional. So you could do the 3-year degree without the 1-year placement, should you wish to. But if you're able to and willing to, we kind of recommend that you do, because it's a really, really great opportunity. The other thing you can do with some of our bachelor's degree programs is add an additional year, which is like an integrated master's year. So you could study, for example, an engineering degree. You could study as a 3-year BEng, or you could study it as a 4-year MEng, which kind of integrates the master's degree into the overall program and brings you up at a slightly higher, or brings you out at a slightly higher level. But and you can also combine that with the placement option. So you could be with us for 5 years, the 3-year degree, the 1-year master's option, and the placement within that as well. But that's entirely up to you, depending on which route you want to take. And then at the master's level, yeah, I mean, as I said, so many of our programs now offer that opportunity either to do, instead of a dissertation, to do a focused internship or placement within the summer as part of the 1-year master's program, or to take the option of a 1-year placement in addition to the master's program. So, within the program. So that works in a similar way, I guess, to the undergraduate placement. Your program becomes 2 years in length, and you have a 1-year period where you're on that placement. So yeah, there's lots and lots of different options, and definitely worth reading up on whichever particular program you're interested in. The course information online will provide the full details on that.
How do students find a supervisor or mentor for their research?
Okay, so if you're looking at PhD level study, it's a really, really relevant question. What we always say is, look, there are different, there are kind of, there's one route to apply for a PhD, which is to apply to us directly, including your research proposal and with information on the project that you'd like to develop. And that's fine, and I've seen students simply take that route and get an offer for a PhD. It helps if you know our areas of specialism, and it helps if you know whether there are academic staff working in that particular area. But actually, you can do it that way. But one of the things I often advise, if I meet a promising potential PhD students, is to contact the faculty or contact the academic staff directly. And the reason I advise that is because sometimes it can help to kind of firstly have that initial personal connection, because doing research, doing an intensive research program, doing a PhD can be very that relationship with the supervisor is super important and can be very, very significant. So firstly, it gives you that opportunity to reach out and to learn more about the person that will hopefully be supervising your research. But secondly, it also perhaps offers the opportunity to refine your personal state, um, your research proposal a little. So, you may contact, let's say you want to do a PhD in automotive engineering, in that field more broadly, and you have an idea. If you contact the relevant professor and say, well, this is how I kind of want to develop my research, that professor may be able to say, well, yeah, this is pretty good, but actually, I'm more interested in supervising something in this kind of area. And, they can help you potentially shape that proposal to make it more acceptable to, the areas that they want to supervise in advance of you making your application. Now, I can't promise that they'll always reply to your emails. I can't promise that they will always engage. But, it is worth taking that route because academic staff are always, interested to hear about potential promising research proposals. So the practical answer to your question is take a look on the website, and we should have pen portraits of all of our academic staff.
Questions from the YouTube chat box. Thank you for answering all the questions so well. Do you want to share any final words?
No, other than just to thank you all for coming along. To emphasize the importance that we place on careers and employability at the University of Bath, and to let you know that we're here for you if you have any questions, if you need any more information, speak to us, speak to SIUK. We'd be really, really happy to help.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your valuable time. All the audience, if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the SIUK India office. For more update, do follow us on our social media handles. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
all. Goodbye.
Bye bye. Thank you.